So guys, I know this is the stage you have been expecting, but for this stage, we are going to start by explaining some certain things before we go into the sketching phase, and then we vectorize. When it comes to we looking at logo, oftentimes one of the most difficult logo to create, or logos that I see that designers usually get afraid to create, is an icon logo. A logo that is an icon. When you see the real designers, they are always afraid of creating this kind of a logo. Why? Why are they afraid in creating an icon logo? When I say icon logo, it can be monogram, it can be abstract, and the list goes on. This is because all these logos, they are easily confused, or they can easily look similar to what has been in existence. For example, if you look at the logos that we have inside logo modernism alone, close to 10,000 logos, if not more than. And you want to create a single logo that you don't want that logo to look like any of the existing ones. So it's not always easy to use an icon to represent a brand distinctly. And that's why it's one of the most difficult logos to create. But usually people always think the difficult logo to create is wordmark. No, it can be difficult to sell, but it's not difficult to create. However, we're going to tackle everything together in this class, knowing which one to pick and how to pick. That's the very first thing we want to talk about before we move into the one that will actually suit this brand. Now, when a client comes to you that they need a logo, what and what do you need to always pay attention to? Number one, you have to pay attention to what they want to achieve. Number two, you pay attention to where the logo is going to live. These two things is what will help you select the kind of logo that better suits the client. If you have read this book, The Principle of Logo Design, that book will tell you different way in which you can utilize what logo and how to pick a logo style depending on what the client tends to achieve. However, I haven't read the book. I'm putting it together in a very simple manner that you can easily digest instead of packing all those informations on your head. Just focus on these two things. If you are working with a brand that they want to give legacy and want to be known as fast as possible, don't think twice. You have to create a wordmark logo for that brand. Wordmark logo work better for a brand that wants to be known and also that wants to give legacy. Secondly, is that if a brand is not interested in legacy, they want to stay longer in the industry, and at the same time, that particular logo will be used in different places, then you want to think about an icon. Are you seeing the difference now? You think about wordmark if they are going for legacy, and at the same time, they want to be known. Known and legacy, you go for wordmark. And you're going to see why we said that. And secondly, if they want to have a variety of usage, that is, the logo application is wide, the logo will be widely used, that even you cannot really think that they will be using it at this point. You have to create what? An icon logo. Are you getting where I'm coming from now? So those are the things. Now let's take for instance that a brand will be having a large numbers of applications. At the same time, they want to be known and they also want to leave legacy. What kind of logo can you create? That's where logo type comes in. Logo type is like a wordmark logo that has a particular letter that is carefully created that makes it look different from just a letter. That's what a logo type. For example, FedEx logo is an example of logo type. If you look at it very well, that arrow that you find there make it look different from just an ordinary letter. A deliberate work. Do you understand where I'm coming from now? And the list goes on. Those are what we refer to as logo type to save your time. So which one is going to work for Remco? But before I talk about the ones that is going to work for Remco, I'll need to talk about typography before we go into that. When you talk about typography, you know, a brand can either be for the common mass or the premium or luxurious. So when I say premium, premium means the high-end people can come, and high-end people but not so rich can as well come. They are in between common mass and extremely rich people. That's premium brand. A premium brand is what? The balance between people that are earning a bit higher and at the same time extremely higher. While luxury brand is extremely for the rich ones Are you getting? And common mass extremely for the poor ones. I'm not saying, I think that word should be a wrong word to use. All right. So not poor. Let me use the word the common mass. Yeah, let's just use that. I think that's better. Yeah, we need to choose our word. So let's go on now. All right. So guys, what we now need to look out for now is how do we use typography to tell mood? You see, the weight of typography is what you can use to communicate mood. Bold, thin, regular. Those are what we use in communicating mood. And when we want to communicate style, we use what? Italics to communicate style. I hope you are noting it down. It's not going to be a full typography class, so just for you to have a basic understanding, so that when you are choosing typography for your clients, either to complement the icon that you create for them, or you are going for what? A wordmark logo or a logo type, you know the appropriate typography choice in terms of weight, in terms of case to use. So weight of a font is what we use to communicate mood. And the italics is what we use to communicate what? Style. Now, when a font is thin, when a font is what? Thin, what it communicates is premium. And when I say premium, luxury, premium and luxury sometimes might not be in terms of what you are thinking. It might be in terms of exclusivity. It can be what? In terms of what? Exclusivity. For example, if a movie is to tell about the story of a particular country, the kind of font that kind of a movie is going to use in writing their titles, it has to be a thin serif font. If they use a thin serif font, you already know that this is what? A luxury thing. Because if you want to kill people very fast, detach them from their story. When you don't know their story and their origin, it's very easy for you to buy them. So story is a luxury. So if you look at movies that talks about story, are you getting this now? Look at the typography used in writing their titles. So for example, The Last Kingdom. So if you watch The Last Kingdom, you tend to see that it's a luxury film that talks about the story of England. Am I making sense now? Among many of movies like that. Not only stories, when you see a thin font, in some cases, if it is a sans serif, it can be a modern scientific movie that is so like very, very delicate or kind of tough in terms of if you don't have mind, you cannot watch it. It can be scary, it can be like that. So when you see that thing, or probably it's meant for people who are very rich in knowledge and understanding. So we can use thin to create that exclusivity. Let me use the word exclusivity in terms of luxury. Because when people hear luxury, what you usually think of or what comes to mind is money, expensive, and the likes. That's not only. You understand? Something that is scarce is luxury. In the desert, water is luxury. Do you understand where I'm coming from now? I know you get that now. So, but when font is fat, bold, it tells you about strength. Are you getting it now? Strength. So, and the list goes on, so that we're not going to waste much time trying to talk about typography. But you see, with these two things, you can differentiate when it comes to choosing weight for your clients. So, an extremely rich brand, you go for thin, and in between, you choose in between font. So, a premium brand should not be that thick, should not be that thin. Then, strength, bold. You can use what? A slab serif. A slab serif is a serif that the serif is as thick as the stem. So when the serif is as thick as the stem, that's what? A slab serif, usually used to communicate strength. I hope you understand that. Good. So I believe we can move on now. All right. So if that should be the case now, we have understand that. Now let's use cases. When you have uppercase, uppercase is usually used in accompanying a what? A premium brand. Are you getting it now? That is for high end. And lowercase is used to what? To represent the common mass. So if you don't have a title case is the one that starts with capital letter and every other one is small letter, is what strike balance in between. Do you understand where I'm coming from now? I hope you understand this. Just little things to look out for in typography when you are working on a logo. So if you want to learn more about it, don't worry, wait for our typography course 101. You are going to learn a lot about type there, because we are going to be talking about the slope, how slope affects what type communicates, how the sharpness and curveness of an angle tells about what the font is communicating. All of that will be explained in that class. And if you are in haste to learn that, you can read Why Fonts Matter. Why Fonts Matter is a book that can help you to understand more about the use and how to communicate with typography. Do you understand that now? So for Remco is a brand that the mood board that they chose is timeless and elegance. So when you look at this mood board, timeless and elegance, how do we communicate this? And when you look at it, timeless and elegance, flashing back to the history of Remco, that means Remco want to be known. At the same time, they want to leave legacy. For that reason, the best choice of logo is going to be a wordmark logo. So how do we sketch a wordmark logo that is going to reflect their personality, that people can easily recognize, that can survive the test of time? So join me. Let's get started now. Looking at the mood board that they chose, we have been able to pick some factors such as color, texture, imageries, and typography style that can help us to communicate this timeless elegance. And one of the typography that we picked is a serif font. So we are going to consider some serif fonts with an elongated stroke to convey a sense of tradition and refinement. So how do we go about that? It's very good we start from the kind of font that we suggested in the mood board, which is this particular one. Don't mistake this for logo. We've explained that before. So this is a font that we suggest that this is how their font is practically going to look. And why am I not including logo in this my mood board? I've explained all of that before, but just to reiterate myself again is that we don't want a situation whereby the logo is going to influence our direction or confuse the client. Do you understand where I'm coming from? We want to be as neutral as possible. So creating a wordmark logo now is going to be a very good idea to start from this particular font that we suggest. Now, you are not a lettering artist. Remember, when you want to communicate the sense of elegance, premium, luxury with a typography, there are a couple of things that you need to factor into your consideration, which I have mentioned earlier, such as making everything to be all cap and making considering your tracking. So if you have a large tracking between each of the letters uh, of the word, that shows this brand is extremely a luxury brand or extremely premium. That is, they are targeting people of high end. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Also, the weight of the font can as well be used to tell the mood or nature of a brand when it comes to luxury and common mass. So all of these are what we have explained before, and we are going to be putting them into practice now. But before I go into that, I want to probably give you some hints to be able to select or tell or come up with the remaining alphabet of a particular typeface just by seeing some few of those alphabets in the typeface. For example, I have letter R here, and with this letter R, I can know how the letter K is going to look. Are you getting this now? Because basically, the characteristics between R and K is the fact that they are both categorized to be a rectangular letter. Am I making sense now? That is quadrilateral letters. That's letter K and letter R. Also, letter P. So with this arrow now, I can come up with the letter P, how the letter P of this typography is going to look, and also how the letter K is also going to look. But this is not a typography class. So with this, I know how the K is going to look. Good. that means I already have two letters out of the whole of the letter that forms Remco. So I have letter R and also I have letter K. So it remains letter E and letter M and letter O. So with letter G, I already see how my O is going to look like, because if I divide this into two and I duplicate this and flip it, then this is going to make me a complete letter O. So I already know how the letter O is going to look here. And also I have letter M already. So the only letter that I don't have right now is letter E. And I can easily tell how my letter E is going to look just by looking at my letter M. Do you understand that now? Because there's something you need to know about stroke. Whenever you have a stroke that is coming down, just like if I have a brush pen, like this, if I draw anything upward like this, you can see how it appears. But if I draw anything downward, you can see how thick it is. So if I draw anything upward, you see, if I draw it down, you see. So that means any stroke that is coming in the downward direction needs to be thick, right? So that tells you that the bar, that is the stem of letter E, is going to be this thick. And since I'll be having it to be crossed like this, you can see I already see a cross line in this letter A. And this let me know that, oh, my cross line for letter E is going to be as thin as this. I hope you understand that. So basically, we can write out what is it called, without even knowing the name of this font or having this font. We can actually sketch out what Remco is going to look like if you use this particular font. Though we are going to be making it look like if a logo instead of just an ordinary font. So let's start from there. I think that will be a very good place for us to start. So before I get started, I want you to understand that you don't need to worry yourself about getting your sketches perfectly. It's not compulsory that your sketches should be perfect. Am I making sense now? So it's not a must, because if it is a must, then we need to waste a lot of time here, and we don't have that luxury of time. Am I making sense now? So don't care about what the look is going to be, but at the end of the day, we are going to resketch whichever one we are going with and sketch it perfectly. So let's start with the very first one, which is this one that we have here. So I'm just going to write like this. I send it now, and this. So it's just our starting point. Do you understand where I'm coming from now? So we'll still have to like vary things, because one idea cannot just make it up. So we have this now, and our letter E is going to come like this. Awesome. So we have this. Don't worry about how, what's it called, making it a perfect kind of look or something. You don't need that. So let's have this like this, and this will come here for the serif part of it, and we can also repeat the same thing with this with the down part, just what we did there. So you have this also, and this is going to be like this. Good. So Remco, so letter M is going to be this. Okay, so this part is going to be thicker, and I have this like this. Sorry, you don't need, just like your normal way of writing, you don't need to make anything special for a start. You are not a lecturing artist, you are just a logo designer. Do you understand where I'm coming from now? Good. So all right, however, I'm not even going to advise you to like work on perfection of each of the letter while you are starting like this, because it's going to hinder your creative thoughts. I get to remember, we're trying to generate ideas. So if you try to make everything perfect at a start like this, you're going to have a restriction on what idea to generate. So just basically draw it the way you find it now. You understand? You can easily perfect things later. So let's have this like this. And letter O is going to be this. I think it's far from this place. So let me just clean this a bit. So I have this now. Okay. So we'll move from known to unknown. So that's what we're trying to do here. So I'm going to kind of speed up this now so that I can just stick in this. All right, so we have this now, Remco. It's not looking nice. Don't worry, you don't need to be too hard on yourself as regard this. We'll make it nice at the end of the day. So if you look at this now, we have this elongated R and K, which actually make this look a whole kind of special. Now, let's take for instance that we only retain the elongated part of letter R while we take away that of K. What is this going to look like? So let's look at this. This has, having this alone can make it a bit look more elegant instead of this repetition, but we don't know. Let's just see how it looks. So we are still kind of on this one, but trying to modify it to see something else um, that will probably work. So remember, you don't need to be too hard on yourself. So let's just speed this up since it's virtually the same thing that we're going to be doing. All right, so if you look at this now, we have this only the letter R to be elongated, but letter K is not. So if you look at this now as a O, it's still kind of making some sense. But we can stop here. We need to like think outside and within the box more. Okay, so let's see something from the actual spelling of this name. And when you look at the actual spelling of this name, we have the word Remy and Kola, which is a very typical Yoruba name. So Kola is supposed to be O, that is, there's supposed to be a tone mark under it, and Remy, this is supposed to be and there's supposed to be a tone mark under it as well. So let's say these people actually pronounce this thing as Remco. It's supposed to be Remco because it's from Remy and Kola that they actually brought about this name. If you have been following the class, you know about the history of this brand already. So Remco, let's say it is Remco instead of Remco that they are actually pronouncing it. So let's see if we can resketch um, this particular one to give room for all this letter underneath, and let's see how that is going to look. Remember, you can see it's not so special, so it's just for you to be able to free your mind and get something done so that you can have enough idea instead of restricting yourself trying to perfect one, and your brain is going to be in one way or the other restricted from coming up with something great. So let's quickly put that into consideration. So I have this and this. Those are the very first thing to do. All right. So let's have this, and this is going to become. I just want to make it a bit kind of different from the very first one. Let's see another style of serif instead of the previous ones that we are looking out for. So I'm going to make this one kind of faster. So I'll speed things up now. All right. So you see, we now have another form of Remco now. So whereby it's not only the K and the R that has kind of swash or elongated stroke. We now make that M also to have one. So we make the M a form of small letter, and by having it to be small letter, it make it easy for us to add that stroke to it. And you see, nothing is too perfect here, so we don't need to perfect anything yet. We'll do that later. So we have been able to add the sign, the tone mark of air and or. Instead of making it just a stroke, we make it like a diamond. So thinking that probably if at all we have this, we can use all this particular mark as a favicon or app icon for this particular brand. That's basically what we are thinking. So having this now, we can as well redefine it again. If you look at it, it's slightly away from the previous one, kind of. So if you look at the way we have the R, is different from the way we have it here. However, this one is kind of looking more elegant compared to what I have here, because this one is still kind of looking more friendly because of a lot of curve part of it, and most of its part are very thick, unlike this one that we have most of the part to be very kind of thin. So and when I look at this is looking kind of too busy, so which is making me thinking that probably we can decide that let's resketch this and take away this particular sign to basically see how this entire thing is going to look like. So I'm going to speed that up now because of time. So let's just remove these two and see what it's going to look like in a very fast way. So right now we have been able to remove the diamond that make it look kind of too busy initially. So I wasn't able to remove that. That makes this less busy, and we have another look other than what we have initially. So this is a bit less congested. Yeah, so though we have too much too much swash, that is a lot of elongated stroke. All right, so we have this, we have this as well. So let's try and see. You know, we can't rule what was it called out of our trials a serif form of font. Let's see if we can try a serif look. Sorry, a sans serif rather. All we have been trying since is a serif. So let's try kind of a sans serif look and see how it's going to be. But I'm going to try to factor the like a factor of making it look like a futuristic kind of a thing. And how can I achieve that? I can achieve that by making the font kind of thin and at the same time stretch and short. Do you get where I'm coming from now? So I can have this. So if you look at this now, and this can be this. So if you look at this now, I'm trying to get that futuristic kind of feel. So for letter R, let's make it look like this. So let's fast forward things and see how that can be done. So now we have this to look kind of futuristic, and you can see we make it thin so that we can still convey that luxury form of feel on this. Now let's look at it overall and see. what it looks like, if it's actually going to work. If it's going to work, I will so much likes to go in this manner, because is a kind of it's kind of taking people out of their expectation for a fashion brand almost all the time being a sans serif, a serif font rather. But if you look at this right now, the challenges that I think we are probably going to have is that it can easily, with the look of things, I think it can easily be confused for a tech brand, especially with the form of K that I have here. But looking at this, aside from giving a feel of a tech brand, this should have make some kind of sense. And with this, I'm thinking right now to look into Yoruba symbols. When it comes to Yoruba symbols, there are thousands of symbols in Yoruba language that actually look like a Nordic kind of look. So with that, I think we can probably go in that direction, still kind of maintain this thing of a thing, and see how we can form that Nordic kind of look. All of these are ways in which I tried different things to actually see what is going to work. Yes, you have to try different things to see what's going to work. You don't just try once and you just quit. Do you understand where I'm coming from? So let's give it a look. So I'm going to be a bit kind of faster because of time. So I'll fast this up and see what it's going to look like at the end of the day. All right, so we can see how this one look now. So this is another way in which we are trying to represent Remco to stand out and also to be functional. So the very first thing you want to consider when you are creating or sketching your logo is how functional it can be. So this look kind of unique, and is giving that traditional vibe. However, uh, I'm afraid that if we should settle down for this, we might have issue of functionality. Should in case whereby if we have this to be from a very far distance, if they're not looking at it from a close range, I'm afraid that we might have issue with that. So you can just try as much as possible. We can redefine this again, but with the look of things, I think we don't just want to go in a sans serif direction. So we probably want to see which one is likely to work here. Now, if I say we should go with this, let me say this is going to be my third option, and this is likely going to be my second option, and this is going to be my number one option. But I want them to be a bit kind of distinct, so I'll focus on Remy as a case study now. So let's say Remy. In Yoruba language, there is a tone mark for Remy. So when you look at Remy and you want to tone mark these particular words in Yoruba language, Remy is Domi, Domi, Remy, Domi, Remy. Okay, sorry, Remy. Mm-mm. Yeah, I think it's do me. So this is do sign on this, and this is the me sign on this. Are you getting this now? So if I have this now to be these things, I can even I can actually bring these two together and have this. Remco is what we have. I'm just thinking. I don't know. Remco is what we have. So we can just bring these two together and have it at the top of letter E. This makes some sense. Are you getting this now? Or we just take away this off, and we have this to be Remco, and we just have the do sign on the E, which actually makes sense. So if we are going to be considering this, if I'm going to resketch this perfectly now, I will have to add these signs on it and also this. And because of the three swash that I have here, I might decided to just leave this the way it is because there will be too much going on this. So without wasting much of our time, we get to see how neat it can be now. So let's look into that directly. Okay, so here we are right now. So we have the three sketches, like we pick them out and we sketch. So this is perfect. You see, it's different from what we have initially, right? So absolutely, you can see how clean and neat all of those things are. So I haven't concluded with the sketchings now. So this is going to be the particular one that we are going to be using. So but before we send this particular three options that we selected to the client, what we are going to do is that we are going to vectorize the three, and when we vectorize the three, we search and make sure that all these three logos, they are not similar to any existing logo out there before sending this sketch to the client. Now, reason is because if you submit this sketch to the client and they pick one, if the one they pick is already existing or the idea coincides with the existing one, it happens. Are you getting this now? That means your clients will not be able to trademark that logo, or they might not be able to use it. But what I usually do for my clients is that if they pay for trademarking it, I must have checked if all of these are trademarkable, or the one I expect them to go with. I'm going to search for it and make sure that yes, you can trademark this particular logo, then send it across to them. And when they select, then we do what? We finish everything. After vectorizing it, we start the presentation. But what we always do is that once they pick their mood board, we do what? We sketch like this and then send this sketch to them after all examination has been taking place. Then once they select one and get back to us that this is the one they select, then we are going to vectorize it, and we start with checking how responsive this logo can be, which we are going to do in the next class. So join me in the next class where we are going to start with the logo application. I hope you have been enjoying the course so far, and I know you have learned one or two things now. So meet me in the next class.